Guatemala is a beautiful country, but many of its people live in villages with no electricity, with homes like these, and no sanitation. Most of the people in the villages have to use polluted water from sources like these. As a result, the people suffer. Waterborne diseases and a high child death rate take their toll on the people. Water for Life places wells to bring safe water to these remote villages. The people are happy to have good water, and they are very thankful for this blessing from the Lord. Water for Life was founded as an Adventist ministry, and the goals are accomplished by volunteers of many faiths joining together with hearts that care for the less fortunate and suffering. We also provide medical and dental clinics in villages to serve people who have no access to basic dental and medical care. The Ministry of Health officials can see the difference in the health of the people who live in villages with water where we have provided a well, and they are happy for the donated medical equipment we bring them. Water for Life now has 89 wells operating in villages in the region and provides water to over 25,000 people every day. I want to tell you about Water for Life from the perspective of some folks we met last year. This was written by Shelley Dinsmore.
Hello, we are the Dinsmore family, Jim, Shelley, Jonas, Silas, and our daughter Eden. We are independent Baptist missionaries serving the Lord in Petén, Guatemala. We have been here since August of 2006. Our desire is to reach the hundreds of unreached villages throughout Petén with the gospel. In pursuit of that gospel, we started the Quiché Bible Institute. The Institute property is 180 acres carved out mainly of virgin jungle. There are currently 3 families that live on the farm, plus 5 single guys, plus all the crops and animals and our fish pond. Quiché people are native people. They do not speak or understand Spanish, and Spanish speakers cannot understand Quiché. Very little is written in Quiché, and the Bible has not been translated in that language. We train National Quiché men to be pastors. We train them in Bible studies and agricultural education so that they will have a means of support when they go into the villages to work and live. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were at a real low point in our ministry. Our water troubles with the local village had been brewing for a long time, but recently had become the focus of real trouble. We have to depend on the village for water, and we had an agreement with them that they would not shut off the water for any reason except our not paying the bill. We always paid the bill, but lately whenever anyone would become angry with us for any reason, they would shut our water off. On one occasion, a student caught a teenager stealing from us. Jim called the police and had the young man escorted home. Just having the teen escorted home upset some of the villagers. Quiché people do not believe that they are under Guatemalan law, so they were very angry at Jim for getting the police involved. They called a meeting and wanted Jim to come. Well, Jim had been warned not to show up at a meeting of a group of angry, probably drunk villagers. So even though many of our church people spoke out against the decision, the angry men turned off the water to the farm. They said it was permanent. Then early the next morning, the mayor of the village called. He is not a Christian, but he said he was not able to sleep all night long. Bible verses kept coming to his head. The Bible says that if someone asks for water, you have to give it to him. He said that he was turning the water back on. He called all the town leaders and told them that too. Amazingly, these guys who a few hours earlier had been slurring their anger at us, all of a sudden agreed and turned our water back on. This incident was over, but this was the situation when we sent out our prayer letter for February, asking all our friends to pray about the water situation. Less than 24 hours after we sent out the request for prayer, a Mennonite friend of ours called and said that on his way back from the capital, he saw what he thought was a well drilling rig working in a village beside the highway. He gave Jim the kilometer marker number. It was about a 2-hour drive from our house, but Jim left as soon as classes were over and headed off in search of this rig. It was a horrible trip. Jim had a flat tire in a dangerous place. The emergency brake didn't work, and when Jim got the truck up on the jack, the truck rolled and it almost fell on him. There was definitely a guardian angel protecting him on that trip. Well, when he arrived at the mile marker, he was overjoyed that the rig was still there. Jim met Dave Rutledge, the driller and a Christian and Missionary Alliance member, working as a volunteer with an Adventist ministry called Water for Life. A couple of days later, the man who heads up this ministry in Guatemala, Gary Bartholomew, came to our house in San Pancho. Jim gave him a tour of the farm and explained the purpose of the Institute and our ministry and our desperate water situation. He was very kind and encouraging. He told Jim that he believed they could drill us a well. They worked in seasons and thought they would be able to fit us into the schedule maybe next January or February. This was the most promising option we had found. We had already been waiting for over a year for a private company to come and help us, but they were very expensive and we did not have any real hope that they would come. We were really thankful for a January-February commitment, even if it was nearly 1 year away. Then a new mayor was elected in the village, and the threat to turn off our water returned. These constant threats were very hard to live with on a daily basis. 1 year suddenly seemed like a long way away. But soon after the new mayor was chosen, Jim got a call from Gary and Water for Life. There was a volunteer couple with a few days left in the country, and they wanted to come and get started on our well. He asked us if that was okay. Was that okay? More than okay, and they wanted to come tomorrow. The rig arrived the next day, along with a super nice Christian couple from the state of Washington named John and Chris Hansen. John and Chris had been coming to Guatemala for 6 years. They had been here since the beginning of March, working hard the whole time. They had planned 2 days at a bed and breakfast as a little rest at the end of the trip before flying back, but they gave up those 2 days to help us. John set to work right away and worked on the rig all alone all day long in crazy heat with no shade in the dry season. He had a little help the last 2 days, but John was the only skilled driller. We figured the well was just going to get started before they had to leave. But on the last possible day, the well was at 115 feet and there was 12 feet of water in the hole. John was very cautious because sometimes there is water in a hole, but it doesn't replenish itself. He measured and timed the water. For 45 minutes, he took out 13 gallons a minute and the water level did not go down. This was a good well. When a pump is first placed in a well, a generator is used. Then electricity is hooked up later. Well, on the way to the hardware store the last morning, Jim ran into the electrician who installed our electricity. The electrician said that his client for the day canceled and he was available for the entire day. So while John hooked up the plumbing, the electrician ran the wires to the pump. Then the pump was all wired and turned on. We had our own water and plenty of it, more than enough. So basically, a Mennonite friend saw a drilling rig of an Adventist ministry operated by a CMA volunteer that sent a non-denominational couple to drill a well for a Baptist pastor's school. Do what you want with that, but I think it is the hand of God. When Jim and I were children, God placed a desire in our hearts to be missionaries. So now we are. Live in our dreams. Thank you, Water for Life.
Thank you so much for that encouraging story, Shelley. If you would like to help Water for Life International continue to help the people of Guatemala and create more stories like this, please contact us on the web at h2oforlife.org or by email at info@h2oforlife.org, by mail, Water for Life International, P.O. Box 2330, Deer Park, Washington, 99006, or by phone 509-842-3952.